No, it wasn't easy tonight against a Memphis Grizzlies team that was down 11 players. Yes, you heard that right. 11 players missed tonight's game. They had 8 active players, including one player who they called up from the Memphis Hustle today. And they got off to a nice start against the Sacramento Kings. In fact, outscored Sacramento 33-18 in the first quarter. The Kings had to grind their way to a win. In fact, did not take their first lead until the third quarter.
Wow.
Ended up closing well. Memphis did not score in the final 3 minutes, and the Kings were able to hang on and get a victory, even if it was ugly, a win 103-94. Each and every one of our podcasts presented by our friends of our Northwest Exteriors. Check out their website, trustnorthwest.com. I'm Deuce Mason. That's Morgan Reagan. How you doing, Mo?
I am fantastic that the Kings finished off with the W.
Yeah?
Besides that, hey, I'm good on this Monday. But
okay, let me just, I want to talk about tonight's game, about how I went in going in to the game.
Please.
As I saw all the injuries mount up for the Memphis Grizzlies, I went, there's just no way. Like, this will be a stress-free game. I was telling Morgan, I'm like, this is easy. Like, this is one of those games, I'm not trying to be cocky, but like, look, Memphis has like 8 healthy guys right now. And I was looking at the list. I went, oh, Scottie Pippen Jr., I've called his G League game. Oh, Jacob Gilyard, I've called his G League game. Matt Hurt, I've called his G League game. All those players are playing significant minutes. And I went, easy W. But of course, it's the NBA, and it's the Sacramento Kings, so it wasn't easy. Morgan was offended by how I was approaching tonight's game.
Offended. I was. And as I should be, because that approach is unacceptable. And that approach seemed to be the same approach that some of these Sacramento Kings players might have had.
You think they had that approach?
I don't even think it was the approach of cocky, we got this win in the front of their minds. I'm sure that was at the back of their minds. And when that even lingers at all anywhere on the mind, it can alter the way that you go into a game, the way that you play. I'm not sitting here acting like it is easy on the road going into a game being like, oh, cute, we're going to play a whole bunch of G Leaguers. All right, let's get this shit done. Like, that mentality is still like, we need to get this shit done. Let's go. Let's do the right things. But already, if that is even on your mind, then your game plan has shifted in one way or another as an individual. And I felt like mentally the game plan have mostly shifted in almost all the players except like Domas Sabonis.
Sabonis was outstanding in this game. We'll dive deeper into what he did, but he did set, or at least tie, a franchise record for most rebounds in a game. He had 20 points, 26 rebounds, tying Chris Webber, who had 26 points, 26 rebounds, along with 51 points in an overtime loss to the Indiana Pacers back in the day. Yeah, tonight was just bizarre. I felt like, I think we do this sometimes where we go, hey, man, they didn't take this team serious, blah, blah, blah. I do think sometimes when you're faced with circumstances like the Kings faced tonight, you may try some shit that you don't normally try because you're looking at and it's not even like a disrespect thing. It's like subconsciously you're just like, oh, that's not Desmond Bane in front of me. I'm going to try this. And it's a huge mistake because, one, the league is more talented than it's ever been. There's a lot of talent in the G League too. And so it shouldn't matter. Two, the one thing that Taylor Jenkins teams do, they play hard.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. Like, they can have guys missing. They've had guys missing before tonight. Now, this was the extreme when you have 11 key players out, but they're going to play hard, and they have something to play for. Yeah, it may sound cliche, but it's really not. If you're Matt Hurt today, you have never played an NBA game in your life, and 2 hours before the game, you get a call and say, hey, you're not playing for the Memphis Hustle tonight. You're signing a 10-day contract. Welcome to the NBA. And, oh, by the way, we're going to need you to play tonight. He played 23 minutes in his NBA debut.
That's amazing.
The Grizzlies are down bad. So you know what Matt Hurt's going to do? He's going to go out there and go, this is my moment. Yep. I just scored 35 points in my last G League game. I'm averaging 25 a game in the G League. I was there last year. This is my chance to go try and do something out there. Jacob Gilyard, I'm like a fringe guy that's trying to get more minutes. I want more. Scottie Pippen Jr., I got a two-way deal. I want a guaranteed deal. These guys are going to come out and play, and you have to have the right focus. You can't just be dismissive, even if it's subconscious.
By the way, G League players, too. I mean, we watch a lot of G League basketball, and there is a lot of talent. There are a lot of veterans. There are a lot of fresh new players. There are a lot of players, basketball players around the world that understand what type of opportunity it can be being in the G League. So there are good players there. And I think sometimes when we talk about, hey, G Leaguers coming up, you still notice a difference when you see G Leaguers versus NBA players. But on nights like this, when it's a combination of a whole bunch of players that are really being like, okay, we want to take advantage of this opportunity and play disciplined basketball under Taylor Jenkins. Understand, like, we're not just going to go out there and jack up a whole bunch of shots because we don't have anything to prove except trying to battle and get a good team win. And you felt that tonight.
Yeah, if you're one of those guys, it's about making winning plays, not trying to get a whole bunch of buckets. Are you in the right spots defensively? Are you making the right plays offensively? Are you taking the right shots? Are you passing at the right time? So for those players, it's super important. So on the other side, for the Kings, they're clearly a team that should have just coasted to a win tonight if you're locked in. But that's the thing with this team. Let's be honest about it. And we've seen it. We saw it in close games, right? Where they have these, in games where they're up big and it turns into a close game. Why? Because they stopped running their stuff. Tonight wasn't that they weren't running their stuff. I just felt like the passes a little too loose with the ball. Like I just felt like the decision making, they had some awful turnovers early in this game. They end up tonight with 19 turnovers that turned into 22 points, but 12 of those turnovers came in the first half, and some of them were just so ugly, so careless. So ugly. Keegan had some that I'm like, what are you doing?
Like leaving your feet and passing it in the air to a Memphis Grizzly player. Also, and really quick too, because this note, I didn't want it to leave me. When you were talking about subconsciously some of these players going up against some of these guys, I think this is even where that plays a part. They go, this guy is Scottie Pippen Jr. He's giving me this much space. I'm going to try taking this shot on him. This guy is only this tall. I'm going to try making this jump pass on him. And the jump pass would be like, cute, lazy, try to get there, and it would turn into a turnover because what that player on the Memphis Grizzlies was trying to do was get that steal, was making sure that their hands were in the passing lane. Like every single play, there was effort out there by the Grizzlies, and the Kings weren't matching that with the way that they were with their energy on that end of the floor, which leaned into a lot of different turnovers.
The one that was just brutal to me, I mean, it's not just the one, right? There's many turnovers tonight, but Barnes had just tied the game, cut it to 2 at 85-83 at the 7:59 mark of the fourth quarter. Then Malik Monk has a steal, and he's on the break, and you're like, yeah, all right, push. He for some reason goes behind the back with the dribble and throws a bad pass steal. And you're going, these are the plays that crush you. Now, luckily, the Kings got the ball back because Memphis was sloppy with it. But it's what Morgan was just talking about, trying things that you probably shouldn't try in these situations. And that's like for this team, going back to what I was saying, where, all right, when you got big leads, don't look at the clock and see 4 minutes. Just play your game. Just play the game. Just play with pace. Get the same ball movement. Play your game. It's the same thing when you're taking on an undermanned team or a team that you go, we're Desmond Bain, Marcus Smart, John Morant, Steven Adams, all these guys are out. What are we? Like, we're just going to do our thing. If you have that approach, it comes back to sting you. Now, that was with the turnovers. I also thought, like, why I was even concerned at halftime when we were on NBC Sports California talking about it was like, they were just missing so many open shots. Harrison Barnes, I think all of his threes were open. He missed them. The Kings were, at the half, just awful from three. They were 3 of 19 from three-point land at the half, and they were down 3. I mean, you have 12 turnovers, you're 3 of 19 from downtown, and you're down 3 at the half. I'm like, they're fine. They just need to clean their shit up. So what do you know? They knocked down a few more threes. It wasn't great. They end up on the night 11 of 38 from downtown, but the Grizzlies could not manufacture much offense, right? They missed a lot of shots because of all the guys that were missing. And Sacramento, although sloppy, sloppy with the ball. It just took some more execution. So I thought tonight it felt like it was a combination of being too loose with the turnovers and missing some great looks. I do want to explore that for a second too with the missed looks, because something you brought up was, okay, at what point do you just have to, I understand you want to keep shooting threes when they're open. Like, great looks, you don't go away from what your offense is, but at what point do you have to put the ball on the floor and attack? And they did a little bit of that in the second half, but not a lot.
I'm not even saying put the ball on the floor and attack the rim. I am saying put the ball on the floor, shot fake, one dribble,
mid-range
baseline. And I say this because someone like Harrison Barnes, for example, he finished 2 for 10 from beyond the arc. When he was 0 for whatever, I think it was like 0 for 9 or something, or I'm not 0 for 9. Whatever. It was.
He might have been 0 for 9 from downtown. He might have been 0 for 10 to start. I mean, he finished 2 of 10 from beyond the arc.
Either way, it wasn't good. And I was telling,
honestly, couldn't have been,
that's what I was trying to say.
You know what I just realized?
I was doing the math in my head, and I was like, wait,
that doesn't make any sense. I just added the 2 makes. Yeah.
I was like, wait, am I reading the stats wrong? Okay. So anyway, whatever he was at that point, he was 0 for whatever.
There's a turnover for Deuce and Mo.
That major miss.
Yeah.
Like, take the jump shot. And I was telling Deuce, I'm like, he's just got to see the ball go through the net. And it wasn't like, hey, get yourself a layup, but post up on somebody, that type of game. It was like the way that some of these Grizzly players would have run him off the line if he had just shot fake, they would have gone. They would have gone.
And I want the defense to react a little bit. I know you're getting good shots, but you're not knocking them down. Go ahead and put the ball on the floor. Make the defense rotate. This is also a team that has a whole bunch of new guys playing together, so the communication on defense could break down, right? Even if they're playing hard. It's the same thing offensively where, guys are going to be in weird spots. Like Matt Hurt hasn't spent any time at all playing with Jaren Jackson. So there's going to be weirdness going on if they're both out there at the same time. Same thing defensively. So make them think a little bit. And I think the Kings let them off the hook a lot tonight. And luckily, they were able to escape with a win because they just have more firepower and they are the better team. They win 103-94.
Yeah, and I also thought, going on still talking about some of the threes that were being taken, the catch and shoot threes.
Yep.
De'Aaron Fox, he was 1 for 4, right? I really thought he did a much better job of being like, okay, once he wasn't making them in the beginning of the game, he goes, I'm going to start doing what I do best. And it was attacking. It was going downhill. And whenever he gets back into that, I think he gets it. But how he leads through his actions are absolutely incredible. And how it is contagious for everybody out there. And I say it's contagious. It's not like, if he's putting the ball on the floor, I'm going to put the ball on the floor and attack. No, it just makes the defense have to think and adjust so much more when he starts doing that consistently. And so I was glad when he started to get to that. That's also when we started seeing more threes taken in rhythm and guys like actually looking like they weren't hesitating and they looked like they were using their legs a lot more. There was just so much more to the 3-pointers when they were being made. And
honestly, I thought they could have pushed the pace more earlier in the game. I felt like they didn't do it enough. The one that happened in the fourth quarter was just outstanding. That push he had in transition when he had that spin move and took it uncontested to the rim.
Yes.
That was explosive from De'Aaron Fox. He had 23 points. He did on 8 of 14. The Sacramento Kings shot 10 free throws tonight, all by De'Aaron Fox. He missed 4. He had this good run. He made 15 of 16. He missed 4 tonight, 6 of 10. No one else got to the free throw line. That is insane to me.
Well, especially someone like Domas Sabonis, who was getting just knocked in the face.
You're telling me he did not get one free throw attempt? It's absurd.
I don't ever want to be one of those like people when I see other teams and they have these star players and they're like, where's the whistle? Where's the whistle? Because they're so used to like bitchy ass calls. And with Sabonis, there's some that are just like so obvious when he's getting knocked in the face or something. And I'm like, okay, that's really not going to be called, or he's getting, thrown down on his arm or whatever it may be. And so, yeah, it was strange to see that they only attempted 10 free throws, and they were all by De'Aaron Fox, when the Grizzlies attempted 28 free throws, and they made 21 of those.
And that's kind of what kept them afloat, too, is the fact that they're able to knock down some. They, like you mentioned, they missed 7 free throws, 21 of 28. Memphis shot 37% in this game and 36% from beyond the arc, 13 of 36 for them. The Kings did make them pay off their turnovers. They had 14 that turned into 22 points. Yeah, just a weird game, just a bizarre game. The Kings were great in the paint, 56 points in the paint, but I think they could have gotten far more attempts in the paint. I don't think they explored that enough, and that goes to what we were saying. It felt like they were jacking up some threes because they were open instead of going, you know what, let's attack. Like, they can't stop us. I think at the half, too, Sacramento had 32 points in the paint. They were 16 of 21 in the paint. Like, they had 18 points in the first quarter, Sacramento. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you. I'm going in reverse order here. Sacramento had 18 points in the first quarter. They were all in the paint in the first quarter. I felt like they went away from that, and it's like, no, just attack. I know the three's going to be there, but if you can attack the paint, it's going to open up everything else, and maybe you get to the line more. It's not just De'Aaron Fox shooting free throws. So, yeah.
It felt like some people wanted to jack up some threes, and then even in the mid-range, though, looking at someone like Keegan tonight. Poor Keegs. Keegan did not have a good night tonight. It was just like, it's one of those nights where you could just be like, that was a bad game. And
what was going on with some of the decision making?
Well, and that's why I'm saying it's like we've seen him have bad shooting nights. We've seen him have softer nights. It felt like shooting, softness, and sloppiness. It felt like a combination. And I feel like with his shooting, it was soft. And when I say that, I saw the way that he would go into a jump shot, and it didn't feel like that nice, crisp, strong jump shot that we're seeing him do over some of these better teams, where tonight just felt like a little bit lazy, slower, and just like not in all in one motion or whatever. So yeah, I don't know if that was a mindset thing, if there was something going on. But I'm going to say no, it was just a bad night.
It was the first time in a while that he looked like a young player in the league to me. I just went, whoa, what? This is unlike him, because he has been pretty consistent.
Yeah.
And it's not always scoring 20 every night, but I'm like, he's good to get you 16 a night probably. He's been doing a better job on the glass, and what he's done defensively this year has been outstanding. But tonight he finished with 5 points. He's 2 of 7 shooting, 1 of 4 from 3. And you knew it was a bad night because he only played 24 minutes. And I think Brown liked what he was getting more from Trey Lyles in those minutes. And the other thing with Keegan, too, is like, the shooting is one thing. But I think the thing that pops out when you looked at him tonight was the 4 turnovers. De'Aaron Fox, if he has 4 turnovers, you don't like that number, he's got the ball a lot. Sabonis, when he's got those 5 turnover games, you're like, come on, man, stop with the illegal screens, or that was not a pass that was worth throwing. Sabonis has the ball a lot. Or Malik Monk, it takes some high risks sometimes, and he has some sloppiness. Keegan's not handling a lot. It's like Keegan had the ball for a second. And it's like he had in the fourth quarter, a cross-court pass that was really bad. That you're like, that's just not a pass you should make. It was
his decision making was very confusing. Like, it just wasn't crisp tonight.
Yeah.
And
it happens. I'm not saying, oh my God, I'm worried about it, but it's just
wasn't crisp.
It just wasn't. So,
or mature.
With all that said, there's all this like, tonight, and you're like, well, they were still able to get the win. They are 27-18. All of a sudden, they're 9 games above 500. Before we get to Sabonis, I do want to mention Kevin Huerter tonight, because we focused on a lot of like, this was bad. I thought Kevin Huerter was really good in this game.
I love the way that he was moving without the basketball, with the basketball, in transition. I agree.
He was a good example of a player that I thought wasn't just relying on the 3. And he was making sure that if he had the opportunity to attack the paint, he was going to do so. And Kevin Huerter tonight had 17 points. He had 4 rebounds. He had 3 assists and 2 steals along with a block. He did on 7 of 15 shooting, but 8 of his 17 points came in the paint. In the paint for Kevin Huerter. I like seeing that. He was 4 of 7 in the paint. You don't always see that from Red Velvet. So it was good to see him be active. And I'm happy that he's stringing together some product. He's becoming more consistent, which is great to see.
It's so great to see, because, I mean, what made them so good last year was multiple people being able to be productive and everyone being able to do something in their role. And people would have their off nights and then come back in on a different night and be better or contribute in one place or another. And it felt like Kevin Huerter in his slump, so many people were just like, oh, this is who he is now.
Well, because
this is who he is.
Well, you know why, Morgan? Because
why?
It was a 30-game slump,
But
you know? And so when you have a chunk of season that's that long, people get concerned, and it's fair.
It's
fair.
totally...
Because most slumps are like...
Stop. The concern is completely fair.
Yeah.
Is absolutely, completely fair. I am not denying it. Cool. I was concerned. My only thing, for a lot of people, I mean, and especially for people that have been athletes in their life, like, I don't know, did you never, or even some that played at higher levels, like, did you never have like an entire season slump? Like I did. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, is this me? Is this me? And it's a whole waste of a year and everything. And you're just like, you miss out on opportunities and all these things. And there are some NBA players that also have an entire season like that. Like I can't say because I wouldn't be able to recall. But like someone like Julius Randle, you know, who saw the season when he was shooting lights out from three, had a fantastic season, and then he had the down year, right? And he was still playing okay basketball, but it wasn't to what he was playing. And my point is, with someone like Kevin Huerter, it's like he had a major slump, but I truly feel like some people were like, this is who he's going to be the rest of his career. Yeah. That's where that's my point of being like, that is just weird to me.
I also go, people thought that about De'Aaron Fox when he had that stretch too. They act like that's who he is now. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's the conversation around how we look at teams when they go through fongs or players gets extreme and you start questioning everything. And I think there's also a thing in Sacramento where when you have had 16 years straight of bad basketball and there's that 1 year, in the back of your head, you're going, was last year fluky? Oh, this is kind of weird. So then you go, I know Kevin was good last year, but then he had the stretches where he wasn't. The playoffs wasn't good. Now he's doing this. And so it's stringing together and people had some legit concerns and he looked shook.
Yeah.
Now, what I love is the fact that he got out of this. Yes. And I don't know how he got out of it. And it's not just making shots because that's the thing. The shot's going to come and go for players. That's the one thing with sports is like, or with basketball is you got to fight through that stuff and make sure you have impacts in other ways. I think Kevin has done a much better job of doing the other things, making sure he's more involved. And I think they've kind of tried to do more of what they did last year too. Like that's Mike Brown adjusting a little bit.
I think
huge. I don't think it's a coincidence that all of a sudden HB's getting more looks and Huerter's getting more looks. I think they tried a lot of new stuff this year because they feel like they need to be ready for the playoffs.
Which is fair.
But I also think they went, okay, we gotta dial it back a little bit and make sure we're still having these guys involved. And it's not just, hey, let's run the same stuff. It's, we know Keegan is going to have more of a role, but we still need to get Kevin his, and we still need to find HB his. We need to get their confidence up and their engagement up.
What made us great,
right.
Or what made us play this style of basketball that had this historic year. Go back to that, and going back to that, you can still evolve from where that was at. And I think they were trying to change instead of evolve. And now you're seeing it evolve again, where guys are, like you're saying, getting included, feeling included, and it is translating into winning basketball.
Next guy we got to talk about, Morgan.
Who?
The rock and soul player of the game.
Oh, who's that?
Who do you think it is?
Domas Sabonis. Hey!
Domantas Sabonis. 20 points tonight. He had 26 rebounds, which tied a franchise record. He also had 5 assists. He did it on 10 of 11 shooting.
Dude.
10 of 11 shooting. 20 points, 26 rebounds. Our rock and soul player of the day. Make sure to go over to Rock and Soul Diner. Just 6 blocks from Golden One Center. Why? Because it's amazing. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Oh, you want breakfast at 3 p.m.? Go get it at Rock and Soul Diner. It's amazing. If you go during a Kings game, make sure to tell them, hey, I heard about you on the Deuce and Mo podcast. It's a good spot to watch a Kings game or go before, after a Kings game when they're in town. All right, let's talk about Domantas Sabonis for a second, Morgan.
Let's do it.
I know we've discussed his presence before, but this guy tonight was just a menace. I mean, we're doing breakdowns on TV on him tonight, and I'm just in awe of what he was doing. And it's nothing new. It's what he does every night. He plays so hard. So hard. And when one of your best guys plays that way, I brought the example up tonight. You have hustle guys over the years that fans fall in love with, you know, and those guys, you're always like, yeah, you just have a soft spot for them because they do the dirty work. They go rebound. Maybe they block some shots. Maybe they dive on the floor for a loose ball. Sabonis is an all-NBA player, but he still does the dirty work. He's still down there getting physical. I mean, he had a play tonight where he got back, got vertical to contest a shot, got a rebound, then pushed in transition on the break, dished it to Barnes, easy bucket. He does that all the time. And then it's falling on the floor. He gets back up, gets an offensive rebound put back. He plays hard all the time. And I felt like he's a great example of a guy that doesn't give a shit who's on the floor around him. That guy plays one speed all the time. It doesn't matter if he's going against Jokic or Embiid. It doesn't matter if he's going up against Derek Lively, a young player. He's going to go and do his best to attack the glass and rebound his ass off and play hard. I love that guy.
And like you said, it is truly contagious. And I think he is someone that is so fun to watch because we have seen his game grow just in these couple of years.
Yep.
And even this season, you're seeing it grow. And how are you seeing it grow? Oh, not because he is getting more rebounds or whatever. You're seeing it grow because he's keeping his emotions under control. He plays with so much passion. You know how hard it is when you're a passionate person to just reel it back in? I couldn't do it. I could not. I would lose my shit. I would punch someone in the face, on the floor, whatever I need to do. He gets hit in the face, reels it in, tries to keep his cool. And him learning how to do that has only made him a better player because it's kept him in the game. It's kept him focused on, okay, going back down on the other end, I'm not just going to make some stupid foul. I'm going to still play with my chest and not with my hands. Okay, on the next end down. Like, he is thinking. He is engaged. He is focused. I just love that he's been able to also take that part of his game to the next level.